advise him to put the gun up now.
What is the
Just a second.
Oh, there he is. Central Center.
Put the knife down.
Put the knife down.
Put the knife down.
Knife down.
Put it
Put
down.
the knife down. I've got one.
Put the knife down.
Put the knife down. Put it down. Put the knife down, sir. Hey, back up. Put the.
He's not complying to command.
Put the
Central's
knife
coming out for the
down.
knife.
Knife down.
Knife down.
Knife down. Put the knife down, sir. Please put the knife down.
Put it down, man. Please.
We can help you out, man.
We can help you.
We can help you. Move.
Put it down.
Put the knife down.
Put it down.
No.
No.
No. No. Please don't, sir. Please don't. No. Please don't. Put the knife
We need this
down.
here, 1018.
Put the knife down. Put the knife down, sir, please. Please, sir. We can help you.
Put the knife down.
We can help you. Put the knife down. Please, put the knife down. Don't do this. Don't do this. Put the knife down. Put the knife down, sir. Please. Please, put the knife down. Put the knife down, please, man. Please. Put the knife down, please. Who's my closest unit? He's still walking at us with a knife, not following commands. Put the knife down.
Put it
We're
down.
on Macon Highway now. Please, no, man, no. Hey, less lethal. Put the knife down, please. No. Put it on. Shots fired, Central, shots fired. Put the knife. Hands behind your back.
Hands behind your back.
No. Get on the ground.
Get on the ground.
Get on the ground.
Kill me.
No.
No.
Get on the ground, man. Tase him. No.
He's got her gun. Oh, God. He grabbed my gun. Hey, you good? You good? You good? So he just shot down one of those officers' gun. We got caught fired again.
Come here.
No.
Where are you hit? Stop right there! I don't want to shoot you, man. I don't want to shoot you. I'll shoot you, man. Step it up. Don't do it, man. Shoot you. Shoot you. No, you won't. Get back. Shoot me. Get back. Put your hands on your pocket. Shoot me. Put your hands on your pocket now. No, man. I'm not going to do it. Shoot me. Don't let it. Step it up now. Do that. Back up.
Wow.
Back up. Get down on the ground.
Our cars be advised. Subject is running. Subject is running.
Keep your hands out. Keep your hands out. You want to get shot. You understand that?
Wow. What's going on, guys? So the two videos that you just got done witnessing are further proof of what I say when I speak about how black people don't understand optics and they don't understand why they will never win a race war, whether it's political, financial, or military, against this white man. Because Black people as a collective don't seem to understand that in Muhammad Ali, even though he was a hypocrite, he alluded to this in an interview that he did with some some white BBC interviewer, when he talked about how birds of a feather flock together. You remember the famous speech that he gave about little bluebirds with bluebirds and red birds with red birds. Now, yes, we know that white men kill and violate each other. Sure. But when it comes down to during peacetime, a white man in a badge and a uniform looking across, even if he's looking across at another white guy with his gun drawn, looking out across at another white man over the muzzle of his own gun that he has pointed at him. This white man in police officer uniform is going to see another white man before he sees a threat to his own life. And unless a weapon is involved with the suspect that he has his gun drawn on, or that he's ordering to stop or get on the ground, in most cases, he is not going to pull that trigger. In a lot of cases, even if a weapon is involved, this white man is going to do everything in his power to do the exact opposite of what he would do if there was a Negro who so much as had a wallet or a phone in his hand. Now, I showed you guys over on Black Avenger TV a few weeks ago the video of several white cops surrounding this car that had been stopped in a drive-thru of this Negro that passed out, likely from drugs. And he had a gun on his lap, but he was asleep in the car, or at least unconscious. They claimed they saw the gun on his lap, but they also saw him sleeping inside of the car. Now, that video is too violent to put here on YouTube, especially not in relation to what I'm saying, but for those of you who saw it, as soon as the Negro woke up and he so much as flinched. Now, granted, I will admit it's very stupid to have a gun in clear sight laying on your lap while you're out in a public place and then you pass out in a drive-thru. I mean, that, again, as I said, that's just asking for trouble. But you saw to what lengths they went to keep from killing this dude. I'm sorry. In the case of that happened near, where was that? Somewhere in Northern California. You saw the length through which they took to make sure this dude was a Swiss cheese. They fired 55 bullets into the car in a little less than 5 seconds. They lit him and that car to fuck up. Whether or not he came to, I don't even think he noticed. He had time to notice that his car was being surrounded by police officers before he lost his life and lost his consciousness from being hit by so many different bullets. His family said that in the medical examiner's office, he was unrecognizable, even after they cleaned him up, because he got hit so many times in the face and head. They had no problem when they even saw the Negro so much as flinch to regain his consciousness. They claimed they thought he was reaching for the weapon. Again, it was stupid, but they didn't even give him a chance to surrender. They might as well have walked right up to the car and fired into it. Yet we just witnessed not one but two incidents. And these aren't the only ones. These are just the most recent ones. If you've ever been in an armed security training course or law enforcement training course, you probably remember the story of Deputy Kyle Dinkkeller in Georgia. That he let a guy that was declaring himself as a Vietnam vet, a white man that he pulled over in a routine traffic stop and charged him and threatened him. He let this white dude go back to his pickup truck and retrieve a M1 carbine rifle from the passenger side of his vehicle, even though he had his gun trained on this guy. And he could have blown his brains out at any time. He allowed this dude to get a rifle, take aim at him, and then got into a shootout that wound up with Deputy Dinkkeller in the end screaming like a woman as this white dude walked up on him and filled him full of lead and murdered him, when he could have shot him down at any given time, including when he turned his back to go back to his truck to reach for that rifle. Yet if that had have been a black man, from the moment he charged him without a weapon, his head would have just been a meat flap, because it would have been missing brain and skull from the amount of times he shot him in it, most likely. In the first case, we saw two officers encountering this Asian dude because his last name was Wong. So I have to assume it was a Asian dude or Asian American that was yelling, "Kill me," and he had a large butcher knife in his hand. These cops backed up several hundred yards and allowed this guy to keep coming at them. It was only when he charged them and got close enough to one of them did the cop actually fire. They were pleading with this man, "Hey, we can help you. Don't do it. No. They were pleading with him like a woman is pleading with her rapist not to rape her, as they were backing up, both of them. Then after shooting him the first time, he gets back up, still with the knife. And instead of shooting him again and putting him back down, like Jason Van Dyke did to Laquan McDonald, pinning him to the ground, emptying his magazine into the boy, they let this Asian dude get up, charge the other officer, take him from behind in a rear naked choke, and stab him. And even when he's stabbing the dude, after he's grabbing him behind the neck from behind, it's only when the cop yells out, "He's going for my gun," does the other officer shoot him. It was like they were being challenged by a family member, like their own brother or something. Even though this was an Asian kid, I don't know what he looked like, but he had the last name Wong, so I had to assume that it was an Asian kid. They did not want to kill this dude. And then we remember a few years ago, in 2015, there was an officer in Ohio that was accosted by a double murder suspect, came out of a house where he had just killed two people. And he comes up on this cop yelling, "Kill me." He putting his hands in his pockets like he has a weapon after he just killed two people. And he's demanding that this cop shoot him. The cop doesn't shoot him. He starts charging with his hand in his pocket. And the cop still doesn't shoot him. The cop starts backing up, even starts running away from the guy. To the point where you see in the video where the cop actually tripped and fell over himself. Such was his effort to keep from shooting this white man who had just killed two people. Now, granted, he didn't know that the dude had killed two people, but he knew that this guy was walking towards him with his hand in his pocket, charging him, yelling, "Kill me," indicating that he had a weapon. And then I can't get over this.
That's correct, Kyle. And okay, now maybe no keys in this car now. So now this has become police on the scene, just driving up, bullets being exchanged, fire being exchanged. You can see a fusillade of bullets into this suspect vehicle as police open fire, and you can see that the suspect is also opening fire straight through the windshield of the car, trying to defend himself or make a last stand, as you might see. But okay, yeah, this is they're spraying fire. The suspect is spraying fire randomly. The police seem to be they're taking cover behind their car and they're waiting for a shot, obviously, to try and take this very, very armed and dangerous suspect out of circulation here, and that's exactly what they're going to do here in moments. Matter of fact, we're going to just take a little bit wider angle so you can still see what's going on, but we don't want to be too graphic here, as we saw in the last situation, because obviously these aren't people that the police are going to be able to deal with and talk out of a situation like this. They have shown total disregard for human safety and pedestrians and citizens in the area, and obviously they've already wounded 2 police officers. So this is a very dangerous bunch of culprits here that the police are dealing with this morning. He also, the police now that are dealing with this suspect, I could tell that they're the SWAT team. They are in military uniform. And okay, is this, do we have a suspect surrendering or is this just reloading? No, looks like maybe he was just cleaning off the muzzle of his gun or something. I thought at first that he might have been surrendering. But what we have right behind this palm tree, and I have to reiterate, we hesitate to get too close to this situation because, as you heard the LAPD officer moments ago on the telephone say that the suspects have been firing in the air. Okay, now we're watching a LAPD officer go around to the side of the car, try and get a little bit better angle, and this could come to a quick conclusion as we speak. Okay, they're talking to the suspect. Maybe the suspect has his hands in the air. Okay, we're going to see a surrender now. So this suspect is going to be taken into custody as we watch. What we did see earlier is when one of the civilians in the area saw his car come in. He saw what was going on, understood what was going on, raced out of the car. Then this suspect that the PD are now taking into custody, they're going to swarm this suspect now, take him into custody. They've just taken away his automatic weapon. What we saw happening was we saw the suspect try to unload his munitions and his gear from the white sedan that's in the right side of your picture, and he was loading that into the pickup truck. Okay, Dean, we can move a little bit closer now.
Now, some of you older cats may recall the North Hollywood bank shootout that happened like 22 years ago in North Hollywood, California, near LA. They've made movies about it. They've made documentaries about it. It was beside the Symbionese Liberation Army shootout between the police, the LAPD, and some crazy black militant and his white girlfriends back in the mid-70s. It was the most intense shootout gun battle in peacetime between suspects and law enforcement in American history. Now, in this case, you had 2 white dudes. Well, one was half Hispanic that was blasting the fuck out of cops with AK-47s, fucking AR-15s with C-mags, meaning extended magazines that could hold like fucking 100-something rounds. And when they caught up with one of these dudes, okay, on a street, they started exchanging gunfire with him. But instead of killing him and finishing him off after they had wounded him, shooting him in the legs, they actually elected to risk their lives. This was SWAT coming around the side of their patrol vehicle towards the dude to try to take him alive, even though he got done shooting like 100-something bullets at their ass. Right? Now, I saw in an interview in Time magazine a while ago that one of the 3 SWAT officers that had cornered this dude on the street and they got in the final gun battle, one of the 2 bank robbers, because the other one killed himself a few minutes before. He said that when the dude went down on the ground after they, capped him off, shot him in the feet and the legs from shooting at him underneath the 3 vehicles, that they actually saw, when the dude laid down on the ground, he actually saw the bank robber through his black mask, the balaclava that he had. And he had a clear shot at this dude's head. And he didn't take it. because he claimed he could see that the dude was away from the AR-15 that he had been shooting at them with. And so he elected, he ordered the other officers to hold their fire, and then they went around the side to arrest him. Now, as dangerous as these two dudes were, they shot, like, in the exchange of fire with the police, they fired over 2,000 bullets, bro. 2,000 bullets at police and civilians. Wounded 20-something people, including 12 police officers, okay? Now, eventually this guy that was shot in the legs and was arrested, after they let him surrender. Because, they don't give niggas the opportunity to surrender a lot of the times. He bled out on the street waiting for an ambulance. So he did die along with his fellow bank robber, Larry Phillips, okay? But the fact that they gave this dude the opportunity to surrender after firing hundreds of rounds, not only throughout the whole bank robbery and shootout, but when they tried to escape the bank and they cornered one of the dudes on the street, you saw he was just firing scared, but still he was firing hundreds of rounds. He went around, he had tried to hijack a brown pickup truck after trying to kill the driver in it. And then the SWAT pulled up on him, and he runs around to the front of the Chevy, I think a Chevy Noma or something, trying to get cover from the police, and he's shooting through the windshield of this white car at the SWAT officers at point blank fucking range. You can see the windshield of the fucking car, the amount of fucking bullets that the perpetrator, the bank robber, put through the window at police on the other side that were behind their police cruiser that pulled up. Yet this cop said that once they put him down with shots to the legs, he elected not to shoot this guy again when he had a clear shot at his head from aiming underneath the three vehicles that were involved in the shootout. Whereas we know damn well a black dude, that black guy in Dallas that went off and killed, like 5 cops, they didn't even waste time going after him with the SWAT team. They said, we're going to show this nigga. They blew him up with a bomb. And that was the first time in American history that they ever used a bomb to blow somebody up. All these dangerous white criminals, they didn't use a bomb to blow up that dude in Las Vegas. And he shot almost 500 people on the damn Las Vegas Strip. Now, again, eventually this dude, Emil Serrano, you see his covering his body. He bled out before the ambulance got to him, because they wouldn't allow the ambulance to come through because, it was still considered a hot scene, and they didn't know if there were other suspects involved in the area, because initially they were saying there were 6 bank robbers instead of 2. But the fact that they gave him an opportunity to live after all of that chaos, when we have seen them shoot black guys without any weapon in their fucking hand, what does that tell you, black man? It tells me that white police officers see white men in a particular way that they most certainly do not see your black ass. And unfortunately, the same thing can be said about your black queen. But that's a subject for another video. Now, I've covered, as you know, over the course of the last several weeks, I have been covering this issue with white police officers and black women, the connection. And, after that incident, with the Michael Langsdorff shooting in St. Louis, I just went off on it completely. I just completely went off on it. When I saw that those black hood rats all over that dying white cop, when I've never seen them do that for a black man that they weren't related to. They won't even do that for their own baby daddy. Okay? I really started looking into this issue, and I've been just covering it video after video after video. Hell, I may even do a Patreon blog about it. But for now, I think I've made my point in more than one case on this issue that black men should now understand where they stand, not only with white men with badges, and not all of them, because again, I've met some good white cops, but a significant amount of them, and black women. Not all of them, but a significant amount of them. For these two particular groups who, as a collective, have shown disdain for black masculinity, to be together, even in the case where the white man, whether he's a cop or not, is evil or known to be racist, tells you a lot about where the black man stands, where the black woman stands, and even, yes, where a lot of these white men stand in the year 2019 going into 2020. So black men, whether you're talking about getting your passport or staying here, not only watch your back, but watch who you associate with. Watch who you put on a pedestal. Watch who you defend. Because if you haven't noticed, ain't too many people defending your black ass. Oh, and one more thing, I really should have said this at the beginning of the video. There is a video right now available on Black Avenger TV, as you may have noticed in the description box and in the pinned post. Speaking of black women with white men, you have to see this to believe it. A black African woman, an African immigrant in Serbia, murders her UN pilot white husband, who she met when he was doing charity work for the UN, dropping off supplies and food in Africa, I believe Congo. He winds up meeting her, marrying her, bringing her back to his native homeland of Serbia, I believe. And she finds out that he's about to leave her and their biracial children. And she kills this man by drilling a hole in his skull. And the ironic thing was, he was leaving her, from what I understand, for another black trip. That video is now available on Black Avenger TV. Talk to you later, guys.